G'day, Josh here. I wanted to touch on an interesting topic today. This video is going to be all about the auction house. This season, the way the auction house has been set up is definitely different to last season, and obviously different to season 1 as well. Last season, we saw the introduction of price caps. We saw the introduction of a bot to act as a middleman, so to speak, between purchasers. Last season, I kind of had an understanding of how it worked in that essentially what you had is you had humans humans selling cards to the bot, and then the bot would sell versions of its own cards to humans on this side. They weren't the same card going from human to human. The bot would buy human cards and sell human cards. It was different cards. It might look like it was the same card, but it was from the bot's own inventory. And there were 3 auction houses that everyone was on. You're either on auction house 1, 2, or 3. It's very hard, I think, to work out which one of those you are now currently on with the way the auction house is set up. It used to be relatively easy to figure out. I think there's still 3 auction houses. There's at least 2, because I've been able to check with other players that we are not on the same auction house. I don't know the exact number, but there's at least 2. My gut says it's 3. I don't think that will have necessarily changed. The bot is clearly still there. The price caps are clearly still there, but the price caps are much more aggressive. So if we jump in, let's go to the auction house. The price caps on golds, for instance, are 74 and above gold, 74 and below gold, sorry. The highest you will see on the auction house, let's limit that. Sorry, my mistake. I put the wrong thing in there. 74 to 70. And let's max the price out. Let's actually go minimum price of 5,000 coins. And you will see, let's increase that a little bit and go 5,4. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but if we find it, you will see that all of a sudden, all of the cards vanish. So I'll go 5,6. See, it might be around there. It's a little bit more. 5,8. At one point, there'll be no cards. There we go. So the price is around 5,6, 5,7. Let's go 5,601. See if we can limit it there to just a few cards. Nothing. So there is no card showing up for 5,601 coins that is a 70 to 74 overall gold. But if we increase that to 75 to 79 overall gold, now there'll be tons. But there won't be any. I didn't do the limiting very properly. So anyway, that value might not be exactly right, but it is what it is. So let's increase that to 45,000. And now we'll have a whole bunch of higher rated golds. But once again, the price will cap out. So if we go 40 to 45,000, there is currently 1 gold card up, and he's only been listed for 9 minutes. Here's a center. Center is the least bought position in the game because everyone gets that free Mobile Master Joel Embiid just by playing through the NBA Live Academy campaign. So that is why centers get bought less than other positions. But that is a pretty dry and bare auction house in terms of exciting content. If you want to get yourself a high-rated overall gold shooting guard, so it's limited to gold players, then you got nothing currently. You have to be on the auction house constantly refreshing, waiting for the next drop, and then you have to be super quick because you still might not get the card you want. It might not be the player you want. So the current cap prices, maximum cap prices on the cards, gold cards specifically, is clearly not right. Market value would indicate, based on the fact that there's nothing currently available, that those cards are worth more than what their cap is currently set at. But then on the other end of it, if we look at elite players, so we're going to chuck in elite, and we're going to put in 80 overall, so we don't see any of the coaches come up. The minimum price for an elite, so let's go the minimum buy now. Let's go 199 and 201. So it's a very small target for the minimum buy price, and there's nothing in it. So we'll increase that to 205, and now we should start seeing some elites come up. 1 elite. So the minimum, there is clearly a minimum price cap for elites, which is not something we've ever seen before. So what that means is you can't list your elite for 100 coins in terms of bid. It just won't show up. it won't get bought. And this is something I've experienced personally. Other people have experienced. I've spent 2 weeks now trying to sell this particular Al Horford card, and he's not been touched. 1, because he's a center. 2, because the minimum price cap is overvaluing. So once again, if there was a fair market price, or a price that the market dictated, if the auction house was more open, this elite would not be worth 200,000 coins. It would be worth less than 200,000 coins. And then there wouldn't be an issue in terms of there being way too many. So if I actually just look for 80 overall Al Horford, you are going to see that there's tons of them in the auction house. So there is way too many. But because the price can't come down because of that minimum cap, we're just stuck in this awkward state of limbo where elites are not really selling. There's only a few elites that are selling. Cards like Curry, if I look up Curry, only the really popular ones essentially. So go max price of 250, because I think anything below that will probably be sold. We'll find out in a second. There's nothing up. So let's actually get rid of the price. Are there any Currys currently up on the auction house? No. So that is, if you pull an elite Curry, you're going to sell that card, and that's great. But for most players that pull just a random average elite, you are going to be stuck with that elite being unable to sell it, which is a real issue in my opinion at this point in the game. For instance, there's these sets here. If we go across to the front office, I've been making good use of the silver trade up and the gold trade up 1. But in terms of the way that the auction house is set up and the prices, there is no value in the gold trade up 2 or the elite trade up. And not only that, but if you do use the elite trade up, you can't sell the elite that you've earned. And if it's a card that you don't already need, for instance, if I show you my team, the reason I'm trying to sell that Al Horford is because I've also pulled that elite Anthony Davis. I've got an unsellable Mo Bamba, and I've also got Mobile Master Embiid that I can level up. So I have an excess of players in that specific position, but I can't sell the elite that I no longer need. It's really frustrating. Now, as a game changer, I've 100% passed this feedback on to EA. So my role as a game changer is to liaise with the community and to pass your feedback on to EA, which is something that I do on a daily basis. And it's not just me, other game changers, whether they're content creators or more behind the scenes, you might not see them as often if they don't create YouTube videos regularly, but there are definitely other game changers that aren't specific YouTube content creators and we're all passing this feedback on to EA. I kind of understand EA's thinking in that this auction house is set up to totally eliminate any abuse. So that the auction house can't be gamed so that specific groups of people can't have unfair advantages. That it's essentially cheating, which has happened in past seasons. So the current setup essentially eliminates 99% of that. But the downside of that is it also eliminates essentially 99% of you being able to use it as a normal auction house with a reasonably free market in terms of value and pricing. Just the ability to sell elites, like that's a key one for me. Going forward, gold players will be phased out and everyone will start adding elites to their lineups as more and more content comes out, as people earn more and more coins. And so then if all of a sudden you're at this point where you want to upgrade, but you know that your elite that you're replacing can't be sold, you're stuck in this really awkward position where you want to get a better player, you want to spend the time grinding, or you want to spend the coins to buy him off the auction house, but then you're worried about what's going to happen with the card you're replacing that you simply won't be able to sell. It's a big issue in my mind. It's probably one of the biggest issues currently in Season 3 of NBA Live Mobile. And it's something, as I said, that myself and other game changers have raised, and we actually raise it reasonably regularly with EA. We don't know what they're doing in terms of fixing it. We don't work for EA, so we're not in on those conversations. Brian, he's a lead content designer for NBA Live Mobile, and he often tweets about NBA Live stuff. So definitely, I'll actually leave his Twitter in the description below. Make sure to follow him on Twitter to stay up to date with what's going on in the NBA Live Mobile world. He's very active, which is awesome as a community member because we get that insight into what's happening, what's coming up. He has mentioned that they are looking at it. So EA are 100% looking at this issue. They are aware that the community is frustrated by the way the auction house works. There are clear price caps, minimum price caps which we haven't seen. The maximum price caps are way more aggressive than we've seen in the past. And just the overall inability to generally sell an Elite is very, very frustrating. So I just wanted to drop this piece to sort of maybe answer some questions you might have had as to why a player you were trying to sell wasn't selling, why there are so few high-rated golds showing up in the auction house, why you're struggling for whatever reason to understand what's going on in the auction house this season. That's basically everything that I know about it. If you've got any other questions that I may not have answered, leave them in the comments below. If I can answer them, I will certainly do so. As I said, check the description for Brian's Twitter link. Make sure to follow him on that to stay up to date with all of the game news that he releases. And he is very active in the community, which is awesome. That's very much appreciated from me and the wider community. That is the feedback I've been getting in terms of his interaction. So that is a positive for sure. So at this point in time, all we can do is cross our fingers and wait. We are aware that EA is looking into it. Doesn't mean that anything will change, but hopefully things do change and the caps are softened or something so that we can actually start buying rare cards that shouldn't be rare and selling cards that we should be able to sell relatively easy. Thank you for watching the video. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're interested in this sort of content. I just recently hit 5,000 subs, which is fantastic. So thank you to each and every one of you. I wouldn't be releasing these daily content if you, the community, didn't find it interesting. So it's very much appreciated that you support me in the way that you do, and hitting that sub button is a really good indicator for me to know that I'm doing the right thing and should keep doing what I'm doing. And it obviously means you guys don't miss out on all of the daily content that I'm releasing. Thanks for watching the video, guys.